Kiss Alive 3 from the studio side 4. Alright, this for more or less is an Ace Frehley song. We are tuned down to E flat, so tune your guitar down E flat and so forth. And we have a flanger in it, and then during the lead he turns on a wah and uses a wah. So we're going to go through all the rhythm parts. We'll go through the lead and I'll show you what he's doing. Of course, I've tabbed this out. My tab is right below the video. Click on that link and you can download it. I put in the tab when he turns the flanger on and off and when the wah comes in the lead, so you have an idea of where that comes in. So to start the song off with, we're basically going from an F sharp power chord all the way up to a C sharp, all right? And it's fourth, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, my flanger, I'm using an MXR. It's an EVH model, but I'm just using it plain without the button pushed in. And from left to right, the manual is set at about 10 o'clock. The width is set at about 11 o'clock. My speed is set at 9 o'clock. And my regeneration is also at 9. So that's my settings. You can go from there if you don't like them. But again, that's how the song starts out, with fourths from the F sharp all the way to the C sharp, and then we kick in the lick, okay? Think of the lick, it's 2 measures long and as 2 parts. And the reason I'm saying it's 2 parts is because we're gonna do a measure of verse chords and then 1 measure of the lick. And then we'll do another verse chord, and then we'll do lick 2, or the second measure of this intro lick. All right. So as we get through it, you'll see what I'm talking about. So it starts out, it's in the 5th position. We're going to hit an open E. That's what we're going to kind of be on the open 6th string, pedaling off, if you will. So we're going to hit the open 6th, and then we're going to go on the 5th string at the 5th fret, hammering into 7. Then back to that 6th string open, back to the 7th fret on the 5th string. So we have this. Back to the E, and then we come to the 4th string, 5th fret. So we have this. Now we change it up just a little bit. Rather than going to that 4th string, as we get to that part, we're going to go to the 5th string. It starts out the same up to the 7 and then the open E. Then we go to the 5th string at 5. So that's kind of like, that is half measure. So let's do this half measure together so you can see. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we're going to do the first quarter measure the same. The 7th fret of the 6th string, and do a little walk up on the 5th string from 5, 6, 7 to the 4th string at 5. And then up to the 6th string with 5, 6, 7, walk up to 5 on the 5th string. Alright, that's the first measure. Alright, so let's put it all together. A lot of numbers here. It's where I think my notes will really help you. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so the second lick is similar in the first 3/4 of the measure. We don't do a walk up on this second lick, we're going to do a walk down, okay? And it's a little different in that we're not hitting the B note, we're going to kind of hit a dead, but it's really an E note. Instead of 7th fret 6th string, it'll be 7th fret 5th string. So let me show you this and we'll go over the difference. So measure 2 of this E lick. Okay, so right after we hit that second 5, we're going to go to 7 on the 7th fret of the 5th string. It's really, like I said, it's kind of a deadened note. Sometimes he hits it a little harder. But then we just lay down and go to the 4th string, 7/5, and then we'll walk down 7/6/5 on the 5th and 6th string. Then we start the verse. All right, the verse. Okay, so that intro and those first two, or basically whenever you hear that E lick, we have the flanger on. When we go to verse 1 with the chords that we're going to learn here, the flanger is off until we go to the E lick and turn it back up. So, the chords in verse 1. What we're doing is hitting F sharp twice, and then a quick scratch, and then down up on a B power chord. Do the F sharp again, another quick scratch, and then we're going to do an E power chord with the 6th root. Now we'll move back to the B chord. Then we're going to do a little walk up of chords. We're going to go from the F sharp up to A. Okay, flanger comes on, and we do the first E lick. Flanger comes off, we do the next chord of the verse, and it's exactly what we did. Flanger comes on, now we're doing the second, where we do more of a walk down lick with the flanger on. Now at that point right there, so we've done the second E lick of the verse, we're going to do a little, you could call this pre-chorus, I just wrote it down as part of the verse. Where, again, keep the flanger on, we're going to do a little chord lick that takes us up into the chorus. Now that chord lick is basically D to E to F sharp. Okay, it's how we get there. And this is, again, this is where Ace's skills, and I call it genius, comes in, because he doesn't just do a normal walk up with the chords. He embellishes them, and it sounds wonderful. So the way we're going to do this, all right, pretend you're playing a D, but we're going to just lift off the 4th fret. All right, so we've got the 4th string. So we're at the 5th fret of the 5th and 4th string, and we'll hammer in. All right. So what we're going to do is hammer in, strike the chord, the full D. Then we'll hammer in again. So we got this. And then what he does is hit the 5s on the 5th and 4th. Back to to that D. So it's like going from G to D. Alright, so that first section of the pre-chorus or the end of the verse. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to repeat that whole thing a whole step up on the 7th position. And then we move up to the 9th position with 11 and an F sharp power chord. So another little nuance I noticed in this first chorus is we're still here at this F sharp. He's turned the flanger off. He's going to hit it again and then a little chuck. And then he's going to hit that F sharp, hold it a little bit before he comes down to what we'd basically call a 4th root B chord. So that'll be on the 4th string at 9 and the 3rd string at 12. And that comes back up to our F sharp. Alright, so back to 11 and the B and back to the F sharp. Alright, so we then we come back down a step to this E, and we're going to hit that 5 times before we go to, this will be a B chord, but he's really not playing the 6th string. Alright, so another little nuance, he's playing the E power chord, but then he just lays over the 9th fret of the 5th and 4th string to reference that B power chord. So I highlighted that in my notes so you don't get confused by the actual E chord. Then we start with our F sharp to B up here at the 9th fret. Back to our E. Turn on the flanger and you're into the full, just like the intro, E lick. And then we're into verse 2. Flanger off chords, flanger back on. We're going to do the first half of the E lick. Flanger back off for the chords, flanger back on for the second half of the E lick. Then we're going to do our little, I'm just going to call that the pre-chorus. And then we're into chorus 2. We'll come in and do our E and scratch before we, F sharp and scratch before we actually start the chorus. So the bridge will lead us up into the solo, all right? We'll go over the solo rhythm and then we'll do the solo. The bridge, we turn on the flanger, and it's cool because I feel Ace does this 3 different ways, and we're going to talk about that. So I just wrote this out as single notes, but it's played fourths. So we're going to go from the F sharp all the way up to the 9th fret and the C sharp, all right? So if we had our flanger on, I'm not turning it on, but we just do, yeah, let me do it. All right, we got this. All right, so 4 hits each from the 2nd fret up to 9. Now we're going to pretend this is a G chord, all right? We're going to play the 3rd note of the chord. And it would be on the first fret while we're on that's the 5th string, while we're on the 2nd fret of the 6th string, and that just will, these two notes will follow each other all the way up to 9 again. Then we do a power chord. So now we're playing the 5th of the chord, all right? We're going to play this C sharp with the F sharp note. And the solo starts, all right? So like I said, we'll go over the solo last. We're going to go over the solo rhythm, which is really well done also. And then with 4 hits on this A to what would be the 12th fret of the 5th and 4th string, referencing a D chord. Then we do a walk up to the 15th fret. Then we come back very quickly to a C sharp chord, and we're going to be laying off that to the 4th fret of the 5th and 4th string, referencing the F sharp. Then we walk up to our E, and then we finish it off with 3 sets of the E to an A chord. And that ends the solo. Then they go into chorus 3. Chorus 3 is twice as long as what we've done, and there's no scratch chord to it. It's straight into our F sharp and to our B. Okay, that's one measure. We'll do that for 4 measures. Then we do the whole E lick with the flanger on. All right. Once we finish it with our walk down, then he just holds an A power chord. Then you'll hear his post, let's call this break lick, and then the drum solo, and then he just goes out with an A. You can do an A power chord, add the 5th fret on the 2nd and 3rd string. Just variations on the A, but that ends the song. So we're going to go over the solo licks and that break lick that is real memorable. Again, great A-isms in there, and you'll have the whole song. So for the solo, A starts us out with some nice pull-offs in the 2nd position, and we're going to start out with, this is the first measure. So what we're doing is hitting the 5th fret of the 1st string, and then hit it again, pull off to open. I'm sorry, pull off from 5 to 2 to open. And then we go to the 2nd string and hit 5, pulling off to 2 to open. Do that again 3 more times. 1 more time. Alright, so we got a total of 5 times. 4 complete. The 5th time we keep going up the strings, if you will. So it'll sound like this, slowly. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then we go, after that 5th time, we're going to go to the 3rd string, pull off 4 to 2 to open. Do that same thing on the 4th string, back to the 3rd string. And after we pull off to open, we're going to come back to 4 on the 3rd string with some bend and vibrato. I'm sorry. Alright, so all together. 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, now he turns on the wah-wah and walks up the scale a bit. So the next section of the lead, or the second measure, he'll turn on the wah and do this. Alright, I'm just going to stop there. What we're doing is pulling off from the 4th fret on the 3rd string to 2 to open 3 times. And just move that up a half step, 5, 3 to open. Another half step, 6 to 4 to open. And then 7 to 5 open. Then we grab 7 with a bend, a release, bend, and then release. Alright, at that point he'll do this. Alright, so I know that's kind of tricky, but what he's doing is he's hammering on to 7, pulling off to 5, landing on 7 on the 4th string, then coming back 5 to 7, 3rd string, and then a quick hammer from 5 to 6 on that 3rd string. Then he'll pull off 7 to 5, and then again pull off, and then hit 6. Alright, so from the last part we took off, alright, now we're into the 3rd measure, which is, again, it's a nice little pull off from 7 to 5 twice. Then hit 6 on that 3rd string. Another pull off from 7 to 5. Again. So we have this. Then he'll do a little Chuck Berry. So we're bending up the 7th fret of the 3rd string, catching 5 on the 2nd string, 5 on the 1st string. Pulling off from 8 to 5 on the 2nd string. Then to end this measure out, we're going to hit 7 with a bend and release to 5, landing on the, that's on the 3rd string, landing on the 4th string at 7. Right. So let's take the whole wah part that he does together, where we start out with pulling from 4 to 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. At that point, he's going to switch positions. Another tasty lick here, the 4th measure of the solo. What he does, it's a 9th position pull-off. Alright, we'll be on the 1st and 2nd string. The 2nd string at 9 will be our pedal note. We'll be moving, and it's a stretch, from 14, 13, 11, and back and forth. Alright? So we start out hitting this pedal note on the 2nd string to the 1st string at 14, pulled off to 9 on the 1st string, back to 9 on the 2nd. Then we move to 13, back to 14, back to 13. Alright, so you see the pattern here. So we're going to go 14, 13, 14, 13, 14, 13 again, and then we do 11. Back up, 13, 14. 11 now. He skips the 13 and then hits the 9s together. Alright, that'll take us into the next measure. But this is really cool, and this again where my notes will help you. I'm going to play through this slowly so you can see how it all fits together. 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, at that point we break into a little Chuck Berry. We're going to hit the third string at 11, bent up, catching 9 on the second to 9 on the first. We'll do that a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 times before we move up to 12 and 13th position with our third finger. Then when we get to the next measure, what we're going to do is hit 14 bent up on that third string to just 12. And we're going to do that 4 times. Then we're going to hit 14 bent up, hit 12 with 15 bent up, catching 12 on the first string. And that leads us into 15 on the second string, bent up, catching 12 on the first, another 3 times. The last time in this measure, we'll hit it but catch 15 on the first string. Alright, so the 14 to 12s to start out. 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, at this point, we're to the last measure of the solo. The very last measure of the solo, once we let off from the 15 on the first string, we're going to come back, we're going to stay in this 12th position, we'll do a nice little hammer on the first string, then second string, and then third string. So I'll show it to you, then we'll go over it. So what we're doing, hammering from 12 to 15 and pull back off on the first string, landing to the second string at 15, then we'll hit 15 again. Another hammer on and pull off from 12 to 15 back to 12 on the second string, this time landing onto 14 twice. Then we'll stay on this third string, hammer on from 14 back to 12, landing onto 14 but only once. Come back to 12 on the third string to 14 and then 14 back. So all together, 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, that is all of the solo. So the outro lick, we'll start like this. Pretty much 5th position up to the 8th position. Alright, that's the first measure of the solo. And it's not done real fast, it's the feel. Listen to the phrasing that he uses to emphasize, hey, we're ending here. So, Chuck Berry style, third string at the 7th fret bent, and then catch 5 on the second to 5 on the first, coming back to 8 on the second string to 5, and then we come to the third string, 8, 7, 5. Then we come back to the 7th fret of that third string with the bend and release and pull off to 5, back to 7 on the third, catching 7 on the fourth. Then we do a little 5 to 7 on the third string to 5 on the second. And then he goes to the 7th fret with a bend and release and pull off to 5, hitting 7 back to 5 with some vibrato. Then he takes off again. Again, this is the end of the first measure I wrote out. So we're doing a little hammer on from the third string from 5 to 6, I'm sorry, 5 to 6, and then catching 5 on the second, 5 on the first. Then we hit 8 on the second, slid up to 10. Just a beautiful blues lick. Alright, and then we take off there for the last measure. So after we've slid into 10, we're going to hit 10 again on the second string and go 8, 9, 10 twice on the first string. Then we're going to hit 10 with a bend and release and pull off to 8, back to 10 and 8. Then we land on 10 on the second string, and then we'll go back to 8 with a hammer on and pull off to 10, back to 8. So we have this so far. Then we end it with 8 on the second string to 10, and then we hit 10 again with some bends and releases as we vibrato to the end of this outro solo. Alright, so this whole second measure, I'll come in from the slide. 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, there's a whole song. Like I said, my notes will really help. I hope you guys enjoy. Great song. God bless you, Ace. Thanks for all the great music. Enjoy.